End of the lace chart. You have finished the lace chart. You have done row 26. Your buttonholes, you always just have to keep aware of your measurements and make sure you're doing them regardless of what's happening in the other part of the sweater. But I'm on the part of the drops pattern where it says that after the M1, which you're finished, which means you've finished row 26 of the lace chart, continue in stockinette stitch with the 4 front edges in seed stitch and purl stitch, and at the same time decreasing so many stitches in the first row of stockinette stitch. So it's a little confusing. So this is where you go to my errata sheet step 6. And so after row 26 of M1, you are now going to just do stockinette stitch. You'll keep doing your seed stitch on the edge, but now you just do stockinette stitch on the main part of the body. The tough part is done with all the lace. But on this first row, which would be like row 27 if you were going to keep doing a chart, but there's no more rows anymore. On this row, you do have to decrease the number of stitches, because if you were to count all your stitches on here, if you've not dropped any at all, I'm hoping that you haven't dropped any, you would have, on depending on the size, you would have either 122, 138, 154, or 170 stitches. And what you have to do is decrease that down to the appropriate size. So if you're the small, it has to decrease to 110, or in my case it has to go to 126, or if you're the next size, it's 140 or 156 stitches on the needle. So that's what you're supposed to do, is decrease the amount of stitches so you've got the right number of stitches on the needle. Now if you're comfortable in just doing that, you go ahead and just do your decrease in order to get the appropriate number of stitches. But I'm thinking that I remember as a beginner I would find this difficult. So on my errata sheet I'm explaining how to do that, so it's fairly evenly across. So on my errata sheet, I'm going to do the size 6 to 9 months, because that's what I'm doing, but you follow the size that you're doing. But let's just look at my 6 to 9. So first is your 5 stitches of seed stitch, which you will continue to do, because that is the nice little edge where the buttonhole goes. Oh, and I just better make sure I don't need to do a buttonhole. You always got to be aware of that. So I have one there, I have one there. No, it's too early yet. Okay, so too early for buttonhole. So I do my seed stitch, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. Okay, so we're done the seed stitch. All right, so now we're going to do the decreasing. So on my size, the 6 to 9, it says knit 5 seed stitch edge, which I did. Then it says knit 10. So I'll do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, then there's a bracket. There's something in a bracket. Sometimes they're in asterisks or brackets. This time it's a bracket, and it says knit 2 together, knit 7 12 times. So you have to do that 12 times. So this is where you're going to need something to help you keep track of how many times you do it, and you'll see what I'll do in a second. But okay, so I'm going to knit 2 together, knit 2 together, and knit 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whoops, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm supposed to do this 12 times. There we go. I just did it once. There's my way of telling. Okay, I'll just show you this again. All right, do it again. Knit 2 together, 2 together, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Did it twice. So I'll keep doing this until I do it 12 times, and then I do knit 10 and then knit 5 seed stitch edge. I'll pick it up near the end of this row. All right, I just finished doing my knit 2 together, knit 7 12 times. I've got that, so we'll get that aside. And now I knit 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we end with the 5 seed stitches. Knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. Now, because we have done a decrease, you should count how many stitches are on your needle, and you should be at the recommended numbers, 110, 126, 140, or 156. If you're not, what it means is you've dropped a stitch somewhere, or somehow you've increased a stitch. And if it's a stitch or two, it's easy to compensate on the next row. Like if you're a couple of stitches too many, just on the next, just when you're purling, maybe just purl 2 together. That'll decrease it by 1 at one point, and then at another point along here, purl 2 together, and that'll decrease it by another one. Let's say you're a couple over, 3 over or something. That's fine to do. If you're shy one, you can always make an extra stitch just somewhere on the next row. That's easy enough to do, and sometimes it matters to be exact, and sometimes it doesn't. But I would say, because you're beginning, if you are a little bit too short or a little bit too high, just correct it on the next row that you do to either decrease a few more or increase stitches a few more, so that you have the appropriate number of stitches on your needle.